Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm talking about the Machine Bride of Pinbot here on Pinball Arcade from way back in the day. And I've already discussed how it's like one of my favorite pinball machines of all time. Like, I love the Machine Bride of Pinbot. Probably my number 2 on my entire list. And weirdly, I did a video ages ago talking about how I really hope it, my number 1 choice, and maybe my number 3, would someday come to Zen Studios because they got the license for the Williams Pinball collection away from the Pinball Arcade group of Farsight Studios. Zen picked up the license and I thought, oh good, that means we're gonna get the Machine Bride of Pinbot. Maybe my other favorites will eventually come out for this new version of Pinball Effects. But then time went by and nothing ever happened, and I kind of gave up the dream of it ever really occurring. And then Zen Pinball did something kind of weird. They decided to make a free version, not a free version, more like a freemium model, almost like you would get in mobile games or loot boxy type stuff. They're gonna have all of the tables that people bought in the past. You have to rebuy them, and now it's doing it in some weird, like, you can lay down some money and get tickets with which you can buy tables or other accessories for your Zen Pinball Hall, I suppose. And I'm not really that on board that as a business model. Never been a fan. Luckily, I didn't bother trying to replace all my Pinball Arcade tables because, as I've mentioned before, I want new tables to come out. Where are the new things? I can play all this stuff in Pinball Arcade. I know there are those who would argue that the Pinball Arcade had really bad ball physics, and now Zen have spruced that up. And they do both the realistic version of the table and also the one where you've got, like, the little characters running around. In fact, for the trailer for Machine Bride, you can actually see they've got the bride herself walking around the table and kind of doing some funky stuff. So that's a feature that Zen adds, and that's cool, I suppose, but I'm really not that interested. With a caveat, apparently there will be one free table sitting in this Zen Pinball collection. I don't know if that's going to rotate out every week, every month, whatever the case may be. Yeah, you know, that's kind of cool. Now, it's not out for PlayStation yet. This is only for Steam, and so I have really very little interest. But if they do bring it for PlayStation, I imagine that's eventually going to happen. Then, you know, maybe I would pick up the sort of guts of the pinball effects so that I can play whatever is free this month and rotate them around. But I'm not that interested in the fact that they are now going to have, finally, Machine Bride of Pinbot. Why am I not interested? Well, couple of reasons. One, I've got the Machine Bride of Pinbot. I can play it in the Pinball Arcade. So I already have this table. Sure, it'll have new funky effects. That's great, but I really don't care to get it again. Secondly, and this is very specific to the Machine Bride table itself, and I talked about this when I first did my here's my second favorite pinball machine of all time, Machine Bride of Pinbot. I'm talking about it in the Pinball Arcade. I did a video about it. And what's sort of a downside of the Bride herself as a table is awesome machine, awesome idea, great gameplay, great rule set, all that kind of stuff. Great looking table with a very cool, funky kind of a vibe. But unfortunately, it's a game that, or a pinball machine that you kind of can sit and play. One player will kind of take over the table for a long period of time. Like, if you know what you're doing, and I don't, you can tell by my gameplay here. But if you know what you're doing, you can sit there and unlock all of the different parts to bring the bride to life. And that's unfortunately, that means that there isn't really that much in the way of enjoyment for the other players. Now, I would only be playing the single player, but it just, I don't know, it's a table that's a bit, not slow, but it's very much a one-on-one experience. Like, you're sitting there, you're playing it, you're having a good time, but if anybody else wants to play, they're kind of getting frustrated and tired, and that kind of bleeds into single player a little bit. I don't really know a good way to describe it, but a flaw of the Machine Bride of Pinbot as a table itself is, although it's fun, it's like ticking boxes on a spreadsheet. You know, you're assembling bits. It's a little mechanical, no pun intended, and that doesn't make for a really compelling pinball machine to play. I don't know if that makes any sense, but much as I love it, and I would totally get an actual real Bride of Pinbot if I could, I think for the game that I really, really like, I don't know that I'm really going to bother myself over this one for pinball effects. And finally, I'm also just really, really frustrated with how this whole thing has played out. I mean, when the Pinball Arcade first was announced years ago, I was thrilled because I have kind of jury-rigged a lot of old classic pinball machines to work on my main machines through Visual Pinball. That turned out to be a real pain in the neck, so when Pinball Arcade was first announced with licensed actual original tables, I was thrilled. For my PS3, this is great. I've even got it on my PS TV. Love it there, and what you're looking at here is PS4 footage. I have enjoyed what the idea is behind this, but then when Zen got the license, and I noticed a complete lack of anything new for months at a time, I started thinking, there's a flaw in getting the license, isn't there, guys? You're not saying it, but I have a feeling, I don't know if it's like these are just not selling for the amount of money it's costing to have the license. I don't know if you're trying to tweak with this new freemium model a way to make it somewhat profitable to have this license, but you know, Zen took over, I want to say a year ago, 2 years ago, and only now we're getting the Machine Bride? Like, that didn't take that long in Pinball Arcade, so at this rate, it's going to be a decade before there's another title I'm interested in. Like, this has ended up being quite a disappointment all round. I even commented on the tweet from Zen Pinball when they said, hey, we're bringing out the Machine Bride. I was just like, really? How long have you guys had this license for, and you're only now releasing this title? Like, I bet you're really regretting having bought that license, because this is just taking way too long. And again, Zen Pinball, the newest one with the tickets and the freemium model, it's not even out on PlayStation yet. So we're still going to have to wait. Players like myself on a PS4, we're still going to be waiting, if it at all ever comes to the PS4. We're going to be waiting forever for this. And I'm just like, no, you know what? I'm out. I have got Pinball Arcade on multiple consoles. I do have my main machine with a few titles that have yet to ever be released digitally, and I'm very happy with them. So I'm good. Much as I love the Bride, I love the Machine Bride of Pinbot, despite her slight flaws that it's a little bit of a focused experience. But I'm just not interested at this point. Having waited this long for Zen to finally release her, no, I'm out. And I just wanted to vent that frustration because it's kind of held me back from really getting on board the new pinball experience, the new digital pinball realm. I was just like, nope, no thank you, I am out. Alright, well, on that very note then, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.